I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey Live. I am your host, Wayne, joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. How you doing, ma'am?
It's been a day, but I'm here, and I'm glad to be here. How are you?
I've been hearing that. It just about everybody has talked about what a crap day it's been. I know one guy in our audience, it wasn't a crap day for, Mr. Troy. I'm happy for him. Those of you that don't know, Troy won an e-bike off of Facebook. He sent me pictures of it. It is badass. It's really, really cool. So I am happy for him, and he received it today. So it is not a bad day for him. So yeah congratulations, buddy.
And we have we have new members. So that's always exciting.
Who are our new members?
Always. Mike Wolf, who is in the chat, Chris Milner. Then we have Linda joined the last show. And then another Mike joined the previous. So it's always good. Yeah, always good to have new members.
Yeah, we're just a few away from hitting that giveaway.
Yep. I'm ready to sign my book and say, here you go. Happy reading.
It seems like we've been doing this giveaway for a fat minute now, but we are getting there. It's hard to believe we're approaching 50 members. That's awesome. Thank you guys so very, very much.
Yep. Super excited about that.
All right. You want to pay some bills?
Yeah. Might as well do grown-up stuff on a crappy day.
Yeah. If you are new to the show tonight, please hit that subscribe button. I clicked on the thing, but it's still not up. Y'all see the hit the subscribe? There it is.
I got you.
If you are new to the show, hit the subscribe button. We would love to have you to stick around, tell your family, tell your friends, help us continue to grow the show. We're glad to have you. But again, if you're new, please hit that subscribe button.
And if you would like to be on with Wayne and myself, you can reach out to both of us, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com, and we will get you scheduled. We are booking into July, so just keep that in mind when you reach out to us.
That's a good problem to have. We
absolutely
have no shortage of people that want to come on and talk creepy. want to ask everybody to head over to paranormalworldproductions.com, check out our website, check out all the other shows under the studio's umbrella. I highly recommend that Bigfoot podcast. I hear that's a pretty kick-ass show. A couple of pretty cool hosts over there. So y'all check that out. And pick up some merch. I say it every week. Need to see more people on a Paranormal Odyssey shirt, but I don't get any pictures. Y'all pick you up a shirt and send us a picture, please. You can do that at paranormalworldproductions.com.
And however, I got an email today that they are now running a graduate special. So they are still $16 instead of $22. It would be $25 with tax. So now at the price of $16, you'll get it way less. So
yeah, that's cheap, guys.
Yeah. So, but if you have any questions for tonight's guest, please put them in all capital letters. As always, we will snatch them up and ask them at the end of the show. So put them in all capital letters so we can see them.
And as we were talking at the beginning, we are still doing our giveaway. We will draw one name out of the list. Who is that?
Robin.
Rob, what's up, Robin? Thank you so very much for becoming a member. God, I think we're just a couple away now.
Yeah, not much.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Thank you, Robin.
Yes, and Mike Wolf bought his shirt today.
Mike's my boy. I'm gonna brag on Mike here in just a minute after we get through this. Yeah, a name will be drawn. Robin is now added to that list. Where we'll take a name from the first 50 people that sign up for that $1.99 a month membership, and that person will win a Yeti lunchbox, an autographed copy of The Unfamiliars written by Miss Tiffany herself, an autographed copy of one of Naomi Finn's books, and your very own Paranormal Odyssey t-shirt. We will ask you what size and color and all that good stuff, and we'll have it shipped directly to you. So, yeah, Robin is in the mix now, along with all the other people. And as you said, Mike Wolf, let me just brag on Mike real quick. Brian and I recorded an episode of that Bigfoot podcast just a few hours ago, actually. And so when it comes out tomorrow, I believe, Mike, you're going to get to hear Brian brag on you and myself brag on you a little bit more. Mike just sent in this package to Brian. Mike does woodwork, and he sent me and Brian some stuff. A couple of wooden Bigfoots. I haven't seen it yet because it went to Brian. Brian's going to bring it to me when we get together in July at the Smoky Mountain Conference. But what the coolest thing about it, it was awesome for Mike to do that. But in my opinion, the coolest thing was he made something for Scarlett. He made her a little wooden puzzle. I believe a little Bigfoot puzzle for her to do. And I just thought that was awesome that he thought to include my daughter. And, just to do that at all. He didn't have to do it. He included a copy of his book for the both of us. And I just thought that was awesome. And I really, really appreciate that, Mike. Thank you very, very much. And the next episode of that Bigfoot podcast, we'll be thanking you again.
Very cool. That was very cool.
Very, very cool of him.
See, we may have had just a Monday on a Tuesday, but, we have great people. We have a great guest. It just makes everything better.
Yeah. What did he say? It's not little, it's 2 foot. What's 2 foot? I don't know if he's talking about the puzzle.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, Mike, you're awesome. Thank you so very much for doing that. Our guests are awesome too, but our listeners, our followers are just the best. Alex is making that bar for me. He sent me that Lazy Susan and the coasters and all that stuff. And you guys are just awesome. You come through, you help us out as much as you can. You're there when we ask you. and we can't thank you enough. And I love you guys. I appreciate everything that you do. I really do.
Yes, yes.
All right, you got anything that you want to talk about before we get to our guest?
I don't think so. I think we're good to go.
All right, we have backstage, we have Mr. Jake. Jake is a filmmaker. He is a part of 1621 Studios or Studio 1621. I'm not sure which exactly, but he has had some encounters with the big guy. Also, some paranormal stuff go on, and thought we'd have him on to share some of those and talk about some of the movies he's made and his upcoming projects and all of that good stuff. So, if you guys are ready, we're going to get him out.
Let's get him.
Jake, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Jake.
Thanks for having me on. How's it going, guys?
Doing
Good.
very, very, very well. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with us this evening. Been looking forward to this for a while. Appreciate you being patient.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to come on. Filmmaker is very generous, so thank you for that as well. I would like to say just enthusiast that carries a camera, but I'll take filmmaker. That's all right.
Yeah, there you go. You had an encounter a while back with the big guy, and I always ask, what got you started in this field, and we were talking backstage, and you kind of said that. So if you don't mind, walk us into that. What exactly happened, when, and where?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to say I had an encounter, and there's still that part of my brain that believes I did. And it's funny, the more years that go by that I keep doing this and continue to visit the woods and listen to the stories and all the stories that come through this podcast and your other shows that I listen to religiously. But so my encounter took place in 2010, July. This is in northern Michigan. Michigan's broken up into two peninsulas. I'm sure almost everybody knows that. So this was the lower peninsula. We get the luxury of using our hand. So it was in like this area of the state. And I'm from the Metro Detroit area, so there's not a whole lot of woods around me, although I've grown up, visiting north and have family members up there. But so this just happened on one stray weekend. We were up north during summer break from school. My grandparents have a cabin up there pretty far out in the woods. I think the nearest town, which has one grocery store and one gas station, is a good 25 minutes from them. So they're fairly remote, not a whole lot of neighbors. And, long story short, they live about half a mile to a mile from the nearest lake that has a boat launch. And when we get bored, that was one of the places we love to go because still dirt roads. It's nothing too tight. You can just walk there comfortably and walk back. So I walked down to the boat launch. I'm coming back, and it's dusk time. In the summertime, it's probably 8:30, getting close to 9. The sun's almost all the way down. So in through the wood line is, dark. I mean, you can see 30, 40 yards at the most. And I kept hearing like what sounded like something walking towards my direction. And up there, it's a whole lot of, obviously deer. There's a small population of black bear where they are. So I'm thinking squirrel, deer, whatever. I'm blowing it off. Well, it just continues on going. And I make it probably another, 3-4 minutes down the road before it starts to get louder. And, I'm stopping and I'm looking and I'm trying to see what I can see peering into the wood line. I'm not seeing a whole lot. I continue on walking. And then that third time that I looked, I saw this just black mass. It almost looked like a giant tree stump. Totally out of place, though, because like I said, I was already going up in this area probably, I was like 15 at the time. So at least 10 years. I mean, they still own the same house. They've owned it forever, basically all my life. So I know the area. I know what the woods are like. I know the animals up there. And when you see this mass, I was kind of in awe. And I'm thinking, okay, it's a bear, not too great. Start walking. Then it stands up on two legs. And when it stood up, and I'm glad I'm on camera now so people can see me. When it stood up, it was almost kind of like how I am, like maybe this broad, obviously a lot broader, but like this general shape. And there was no definitive neck. It just kind of went like head into these massive shoulders. And I'm thinking that's not what I know a bear to look like. I don't know what I'm looking at. I see this just black figure, probably 35, 40 yards off into the trees. And I watch it drop down, and I see it scamper, and you can tell like that the back stayed flat, but it almost did like this move, like not typical to a bear where it's bouncing up and down. It was more like a shuffle. And I'm watching it go away. I didn't stand there for very long. I mean, I stood there for what felt like probably 3 or 4 minutes, when in reality, this all happened probably 30, 45 seconds. And as soon as I could tell it was leaving me, I beelined for the cabin and got the hell out of there.
My goodness. So one thing I noticed, you said it didn't have a neck, basically, right?
Correct, yeah.
Would you say the head was conical?
I don't even want to say yes or no because I can't picture it right now. So stick to what I know to be true from what I saw that day.
Okay. Is there any way you can tell, like, how tall? I mean, was there any way of measuring in your mind?
Yeah, it was roughly, I always like to say it was about the sizes that I was at that time. And at that time, I was a little over 6 foot already. I'm 6'4" now. I was pretty close to my same height already at 15. So judging off of that, it appeared that I would have been looking eye level to it. But that's one of the things that that I just don't know, to be honest with you. And the more, like I said, the more years that go on and the more stories I listen to, and if you want to, I like to use the term research lightly because we haven't found one yet, obviously. So you can research, but it's not, scientific research, I guess, in my opinion anyway. Again, everybody listening, I listen to these shows too, speaking for myself. So don't take my feelings personal, but I do whatever research I can do. And I don't like that distance, to judge the distance just off of that. I think you brought up a point too a few weeks ago in one of the podcasts. You were out looking for a spot to camp, and you brought up the fact that you could see a cutout, and you were thinking, I believe this, you put it as, I thought maybe it was like 8 foot tall, and I got up to it and it wasn't much taller than I am. I could be wrong. It could be flip flop, but hearing even that, it gets my gears going of like, was it really that tall? It looked like it was the same size as me, but I guess I can only go off of what I think I saw.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point to make. I mean, I don't understand how people can judge height from a far distance away unless you can see its head next to like a branch, and then later you go back and you measure that branch. But what are the odds that you're even going to be at the right branch?
Right.
So you hear people, I always kind of roll my eyes when I hear people talk and say, this thing was 9 foot tall. Had to be 9 foot tall. Well, how do you know? I mean, you were 100 yards away. It could have been 6.5 foot tall, which is still a very large thing, but it's not 9 foot tall. What always gets me is it was 9 foot tall, had to have been 300 pounds. I mean, was it like this big around? I mean, yeah, so judging size from a distance, I just don't understand. I don't think that you can give that much credibility to that.
No,
everything is tall to me. Wayne's taller than me. You're a whole entire foot taller than me. A whole foot. I like come up to everybody's knees. It's so short. I'm gonna start wearing platforms and just be done with it.
So we gotta send Tiffany out, and then she can be a guide and she can tell us how tall it was. You go off her measurement.
Yeah, there you go. I'm the slowest one of the bunch, so I'll die first. Y'all have a chance to get away. It's a win-win for y'all.
Like, I came up to its knee.
Like, not even the whole knee. I mean, like, under it. Under
right,
the knee.
Right at where the shin meets.
That's right.
That's funny.
Jake, tell us a little bit about Studio 1621. How did they get started? Where did y'all get the name? Who does it consist of? How long y'all been doing it? All of that good stuff. Give us a history of what you guys do.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Before I go to that, I'll touch on one point that a quick shout out to Mike Wolf, as if he hasn't gotten enough shout outs. I really love to hear that he was able to make not only you guys a gift, but he reached out to your family with the puzzle, something that you can all do together, and that it's a good segue to let you know how we came up with that name, or how I came up with the name. So 1621 Studios, I was working under Table Talk Entertainment, something I made when I was 16 years old. I was like, oh, this is, Table Talk. That's a funny name. And then I, got to be about 19, 20, and we were doing almost nothing. It was just a name. And I started Googling, and I see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Table Talk. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stand out in this bunch. This is terrible. We're going to have to rebrand if we're going to take this seriously. And me and my good friend that I work on it with, his name is Jesse. He'll play this back. So hi, Jesse. He's at work right now. He's not watching. But so we work on this project together, and he was like, he goes, yeah, we could come up with a name. And he had all these good concepts, and they were like super scientific. And not that I didn't do good in school with science. I mean, I was really good with like English and geometry, but or English and geography. See, can't even speak right now. But I was like, I can't comprehend what these names mean. How am I going to touch the audience I'm looking to touch, right? So I'm like, let's just keep it simple. And I went back and I was thinking, I'm like, oh, what's like meaningful to me? I need something catchy. And 1621 is actually my first daughter's birthday, my oldest daughter. So that was the day she was born. So I was like, yeah, it's got a little bit of family ties. It's easy to understand. I'll be honest with you.
6/21.
That's right. Yeah. And then, we say 1621 because for me, it just rolls off easier than saying 1621. That's, it's a little faster, I guess. But so that's where the name comes from. And what we do really is what I aspire to do and wish I could make full time. That's my goal one day, to make it a full time job. But it was all of the looking into and trying to make little short films, little short docs, or just even vlogs of the things we're interested in, specifically paranormal investigations, cryptozoology, urban legends. Because even prior to the experience that I had when I was 15, I grew up hearing stories of like Bigfoot stories from two different grandfathers who were both avid hunters and outdoorsmen, very big history buffs themselves. And then I grew up watching, Ghost Hunters as a kid, which later turned into Ghost Adventures, which now has how many other ghost shows that we watch, my wife and I, when we can't find anything else on TV. So it was really our aspiration to create basically our version of what we saw, the things that were like, oh, that'd be cool to do, but maybe we'll put a twist on it. We'll try to do this. We like to joke around more. Let's be more loose, and it's just all off the hip. And luckily we've been able to do that. And we're hoping to take it in different directions. More, we got a couple different ideas coming up that I can touch on a little bit. I think I mentioned to you backstage, we're working on getting access to an old lighthouse here in Michigan. I know I'm going to shout out my own state a little bit. Michigan has more lighthouses than anywhere throughout the United States. So we're like, if we could get access to that with really, not to doubt myself, but being a nobody in this industry, not being a big name or having any sort of like film backing behind me, then that'd be pretty cool. Even if we just put it out on YouTube or put it out and doesn't do anything, it would just be a cool experience. So we're working on that. And then I am proud to say that I've been having conversations with NOAA, the National Oceanographers, their association, and they have allowed me to make a documentary and submit it to them. And as long as they approve of it, it's going to be put into their film fest next year. So I'm pretty psyched about that. That's a pretty big step for us. So hopefully all goes well with that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that is. Go ahead.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much because we don't have a whole lot that we can go off of. But I will tell everyone that Jake and myself and Brian and Jake's partner Jesse are talking, putting ideas together for shooting our documentary. We were going to try to do it this year. Brian and I were. The reason that Troy and I went camping at the LBL a few months ago originally was supposed to be so we could scout some locations, and we were going to try to shoot a small film from in there, but things started happening and we had to push it back, and it looks like it's going to be next year. But y'all remember that Brian and I are putting together a documentary, and Jake and the 1621 Studios are going to be the ones that film it. So that is coming up, so I can't wait for that.
Off the cuff, I know I'm in my basement, it's cluttered, but they're always right here. I always keep them in arm's reach just in case.
You never know when
So-
you're gonna need it.
That's right. It goes everywhere. It's funny because my she doesn't get mad. This one was a Father's Day gift for my wife, so I know she doesn't get mad. But when we're planning it for Memorial Weekend going up north, I got the camera. It's ready to go just in case. Sits in my lap while we're driving, just ready to hit record. So
Yeah. Well, this wasn't planned for me to ask you, but it just hit me. You're in Michigan. We were just in the LBL. There's talk of Dogman in the LBL. Michigan seems to be the home of Dogman. There's so many reports that come out of Michigan. Do you have an opinion on Dogman? Have you ever had an encounter or known anyone to have an encounter, or just what do you think of that phenomenon?
I'm going to stress again to everyone listening, this is my personal opinion. Please don't send me letters about how you disagree. Everybody has their own opinion. I truly believe you have the right to your own opinion. I'm going to express mine. If you don't want to listen, take this time to undo your headphones or put your phone down for a moment and then come back to this great show hosted by Wayne and Tiffany. But
Thanks.
my opinion of that is 100% misidentification every single time. I cannot wrap in my mind, and I try to be as open-minded as possible to the point that, like, not to go back and harp on it, but all these years later, almost 15 years later now, I'll be turning 30 next year. So almost 15 years past my encounter, I can't sit here and truly say that what I saw that day was even a Bigfoot. I don't know because I didn't see enough detail. I saw something that was odd enough that did not look like a bear. It doesn't look like any bear I've ever seen. I mean, it had the shoulders, it had the long arms, it had the head go straight with no neck. It had every descriptive factor that I've ever heard of a Sasquatch encounter. But in my mind, still trying to be as open-minded as possible, I didn't see enough detail to set in stone, hey, you saw this thing that's not supposed to exist. I would like to think that I did, but I can't. Like, I will go to my grave saying, I don't know. Unless, of course, hopefully in the LBL with some footage, we were able to find one, and then I can confidently say they're out there. But Dogman, to me, misidentification. I've taken reports. I've heard the stories. Filming our first thing we did, Woodline, which was all Sasquatch related. I have a gentleman in there from Michigan that was kind enough to come on and speak. And after that interview was done, he went on to say, essentially you need to be careful where you're going because there's a very large population of Dogman sightings out there. And he had one. And respectfully, I listened to his story, listened to his account. I'll be honest with you, in my mind, as soon as he said that, though, my eyes rolled. And I was kind of thinking, well, this is about to be some bullshit story that I hear, but please go on. But everything he told me, to me, lined up more with like what I hear from Bigfoot encounters. So maybe they're just super similar, or again, in my mind, it's just misidentification.
And it's okay that we don't all share the same opinion. I'll agree to disagree. You know, in my opinion, listening to the massive amount of encounters. All I do is listen to podcasts, bro. I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts going down there, okay? So, but you hear so many encounters, and they're all, like with Bigfoot, you don't see the ears. But in the Dogman encounters and cases that come out, there's ears every time. So, I mean, to each his own.
You know
but
what?
Again, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jake, I'm with you. I've said it from the beginning. When I first started looking into this, I just knew it was a misidentified Bigfoot. Just people are seeing this strange kind of Bigfoot that I don't know. But the more people I've talked to, they swear, no, that's not the case. This was a dog. And I just don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but I'm almost back to that point where I'm agreeing with you, Jake. It's just a misidentification. I mean, we don't know how many types of Bigfoot there are, if there are any. I mean, it could be 2 different types, 3 different types of Bigfoots out there, and one of them looks a lot like a canine. And that's what people are seeing. And maybe this particular type is more aggressive because the reports with Dogman, they seem to be more aggressive. So that's where I'm at right now because we don't know. Until we have one on the table to examine it, we're not going to know. And you got all these people that are against killing one. I don't want to kill one either. I don't want to be the guy that kills a Bigfoot or a Dogman if they exist. If either of them exist, I don't want to be that guy that kills one unless it's harming me or my family. Then I'll do it. But I'll never be that guy that goes out there with the intention of killing one to bring it in to prove it. All of that said, I don't think science is ever going to accept this until we have that body. I'm hoping that someone finds one that died of natural causes. That would be great. Maybe one hit by a car or something. Bring it in. And Brian and Tiffany and I are going to be doing, this Thursday, we're going to be doing a live That Bigfoot podcast. And the subject is going to be what protocol do you need to have to bring in a body? If someone hits one, if someone shoots one, someone kills one, what protocol? Because you can't just call the cops. I don't think you could just call the police because it's going to disappear, in my opinion. But, I mean, that was a really long question or a really long extension to what you said. I'm sorry. But I agree with you. I think it's a misidentification. But everybody be looking this Thursday for that live of That Bigfoot podcast. But I agree with you, man. And I hate that. Probably going to catch some crap from people that swear that it's a completely different thing. But, I mean, that's the beauty. We all have opinions.
You got to catch a lot of crap from your co-host.
Yeah.
I'll stick a virtual foot up his ass later. It's fine. But we try to be, you have people in the community who their opinion is the gospel. Okay. Not taking into account that people have seen different things and they have their own opinions. And just because it's your opinion doesn't mean it's the only one, and it doesn't mean it's right. So, and I think it's good that we can talk about this, as grown-ups and not be children about it. Because I can sit here all day long and say, Jake, I just met you. You're a really nice guy, but I disagree with you. Wayne, I've worked with you for almost a year. You're a really nice guy, but I disagree with you. And then we move on.
Yeah. What is it? Let me try to pull it up here real quick. Everybody knows how I feel about Miss Naoma Finn. Look what she just said. "Now, Wayne, I love you to death. You're wrong, but I love you to death." That's fine. I'm still going to love Naoma to death. We don't agree. That's 100% fine. But that's because I don't know. Naoma might know more than me. Naoma probably has talked to people that have had more experiences than I have. I mean, I don't know. That's the beauty of this thing. And we have to be able to agree and disagree and still be respectful to each other.
Absolutely. That should be the goal at the end of every conversation. Not to touch too much into my personal and professional life, but outside of, again, an enthusiast that carries around a camera. I work in municipal government, so I'm every day talking to people, the public, constantly, 8 hours a day, different opinion. Let me tell you why you're wrong. Well, let me tell you what the law says. And, still have to leave with that like happy, not the customer's always right, but that pleasant, happy feeling of like, okay, don't start spreading hate of me on social media nowadays, So if we could keep it this way too, even with this subject, that'd be better for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Jake, before we came on, we were talking, kind of laying out a game plan for the episode like we do with every guest. And we talked about you leading with the Bigfoot encounter, but you also said you had some paranormal stuff that you could talk about. So if you don't mind, let's segue into some of that.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I grew up and still today watch all of the paranormal shows. Grew up in Ghost Hunters because that was the thing when I was a kid, and that's what everybody was watching. Now I've kind of delved more into different vlogs and things like that, more so like YouTube shows. But yeah, it's always been a small interest of mine, and more so touches more so on the creative stuff from what I can do with film, and why I got into paranormal investigating as much as I can. I got a wife and 2 kids, so I don't even get in the woods very often to go out and do these things, let alone just to go out and relax in the woods. So, but when I am able to get out and go to different locations, it's always been a fun time. More recently, one of the things we did was we had the chance to investigate, I have to say former now, but a former bar and grill in Michigan. And we definitely had some strange encounters. The biggest legend of the place was that, it started as a trading post back in the late 1800s. That's what it was constructed to be. And the original building, a portion of it, still stood while the rest of it was redeveloped to have the restaurant run. But one of the legends was a female that worked there back, I believe it was in the 30s or early 40s, that her basically spirit, I guess, or however you want to put it, soul, spirit, her presence was still there with the establishment. And I found out about this just through looking up like local haunted places near me, like Metro Detroit area, state of Michigan. How close can I get to not have to travel to where I got to spend a weekend away, but I can go there, come home in the same day, type of deal. And I found this place, and I set it up with the owner. Jesse and I went in. We had a couple people to help us, make this film that unfortunately has not been released just because of the schedules that we're both confined to. But some of the things that happened there were like, we definitely got some people hearing like what they say were audible whispers when they would be alone. We would put, we were trying to make this into a YouTube video, so everything was recorded. We had cameras all over the place. We would have people do like isolation sessions in certain rooms. Like one of them was in the establishment that was around since it was a trading post. And we sat my sister actually in the corner and basically was like, hey, here's a bandana, put it over your eyes and just sit here in silence, see what happens, see if you feel anything weird. And she got up and she ended up running out of the room. And we were in the kitchen on the other side of the restaurant. And I heard like running. I'm like, what the hell is that? So Jesse and I sprint out. And it's her, and she's like, somebody was like whispering in my ear. It sounded like somebody was right next to me. Where were you guys? And we're like, we're here. And the whole time in my mind, I'm like, that's creepy because we locked the front and back door. We're the only people that have access to this place right now. We enter, we lock the door to make sure nobody else can come in, right? Anybody walking by or whatever. So that was like the thing that kickstarted the night was that. And from there, it just continued on. We had Jesse at one point swear that he saw somebody else from the team standing in a doorway to the point that I had the camera filming Jesse and he just in the middle of a sentence was like, whoa, 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 did you see that? And I flip around. There's nothing there. I'm like, what did you see? And he goes, Dylan, who was the guy helping us, Dylan was just standing in the doorway and he runs through the double doors. It's almost like old school saloon style double doors. Bolts through him and I'm running behind him and he flies around the corner and he's screaming. He's like, Dylan, and nobody's answering. We go outside to the back and Dylan and the 3 other people that are helping us are sitting in the car while it's running. And he's kind of pissed at this point because he still was convinced like they were playing a joke on him, which is something that we went into. We're like, hey, look, we're not going to mess with each other. We're not doing that, anything like that. Just, we're going out there and film whatever happens. And if nothing happens, it is what it is. Well, we had that happen. We had the whispers happen. We brought a little bit of technology out. Like we had like a REM pod was with us. We didn't get any action off of that, but I still thought it was cool. I'm like, yeah, let's set it up, see what happens. But between the whisper and seeing a physical shadow, and then we would get random knocks throughout the night, like just knocking, like somebody's knocking on the walls. And I mean, again, it's a curse that I have, open-mindedness. I was like, well, maybe there's like mice in the walls, but it was almost, it would happen the first time at a random time. And then from there on, it was like a pattern. Like it was down to one point we had our phone out and it was every 3 minutes we were getting 2 like knock, knock, 3 minutes would go by, knock, knock, in a different location. Another 3 minutes would go by, knock, knock, like in the same location as the first one. It was very, very creepy stuff going on that night. That's like one of our most recent things.
And you hear about that a lot, is the knocking and the thumps. And the whispers are absolutely crazy to hear when you can get them recorded and you can go back through and hear it. It's wild stuff.
So this is the most wild part to me, and this happened after the fact, and this I cannot explain. I can't explain the whispers. I can't explain the shadow. Obviously, I can't explain the knocking. I could probably try to. What happened, and I can just say this because Jesse, obviously it happened to him. I'm just going to release it, whether he gets pissed at me or not. He texted me almost a week, 6, 7, maybe even 8 days after we did this. This was a few months ago, but he texted me like a week later. And he goes, dude, I got something that you're not going to believe. And I'm thinking like, well, he's got a camera that he took to his house. What kind of footage is it? So I call him. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, I just got a Facebook message. And I was like, okay. And he goes, it's not from like any person. It was literally, it's a Facebook, you got a message, you go on, you hit the DM. The profile was a blank image, like your standard Facebook generic profile picture. But the name was like random small letters with capital letters and a period and stuff. And all it said was, hi, how are you? And after the bottom, the next message was, this is Eleanor. And when he showed me this, I was like, immediate chills down my body. Because the person that supposedly haunts the place name is Eleanor. We cannot explain what happened. There's only 4 that were there with us, the 4 of us together, the owner, 6 people that know the exact time, date that we were there. Nobody else was with us that night. The owner, the place is closed now. I don't know if he had a lot of trust in us or what it was, or if I just was a good bullshitter at the time. Physically handed me the keys, and he was like, hey, I'm going to be back at this time, and I'll get the keys from you. Have fun. And I saw him left, and we would check random times throughout the night, hey, is so-and-so back? And he never came back. So when he said that, I was like, how do I explain this? I don't even know how to explain it. So now, ever since then, he's like, he tells me all the time, he's like, I haven't gotten another message, but I still don't know how that happened, who it was. We've questioned everyone in our group. And again, it's one of my friends from school, and it's my sister. And I'm like, why would either one of them let a joke go on for that long? I can't explain that. And that, for me, goes kind of above paranormal. I don't even know what you would consider that.
Yeah, I don't know what box I would put that in, other than scary as shit.
Yeah. I told him, like, glad it wasn't my account that got messaged.
Yeah, I don't know. That's wild. That's really wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
now, in all of your time out making movies and talking to people and stuff, have you taken in or heard any cool encounters from people that you've just met out, whether it be Bigfoot related or ghostly or whatever? Do you have anything you can share?
Yeah, I can bring up 2. The first one's pretty quick too. So the first time that we went out to do a true paranormal investigation, try to film it and everything else. And this one is available on YouTube for anyone that's interested. I did upload it to 1621 Studios. It's when we visited Riverside Cemetery. It's in Plymouth, Michigan. It's a very old, small town, created back in the early 1800s. And one of the claims there, when I was doing the research for it, trying to set up a storyline, so to speak, I was reaching out on Facebook. I was reaching out to like the historical museum, seeing if I could get anybody. Well, one individual came to me and he shared a story of the time he was there doing like patrols, because for a short time they had security there. They were dealing with like not grave robbers, but kids would come in and vandalize, some of the tombstones and things like that, unfortunately. So they hired security, and one of the security guards was telling us that one night he heard like laughter coming from the woods. So he was shining his light. He wasn't finding anything, and he kind of just chalked it up to maybe somebody was down in the ravine, or maybe there were some kids that, he couldn't see or whatnot. And we're like, okay, well, that's pretty interesting. We're asking him, we'll get the area that it happened in, And this is like several weeks before we go there. So we end up going there weeks later. I'm not even thinking about that encounter because I'm thinking about different things like, you know, I'm doing this, but at the same point, I'm like, God, I really hope I don't see a shadow because that would just freak me out, you know? I'm interested in this, but I don't actually want to see anything, you know? So we're going to do it, and we get to the end of the night, and Jesse and I sit up basically back to back, side to side, whatever you want to call it, against the tree that is sitting next to one of the founders of the city's tombstone in his grave there. And to the right side of us is this wood line that goes down into a ravine, goes into a big park system that's very popular in this area for Metro Detroit. It's kind of where all the floodwaters go. So it's a park, but, you know, that's what it's built for. And it borders that. We're just sitting there, and kid you not, out of the blue, we have a little EMF detector on the ground in front of us. The thing starts lighting up, and it's red, yellow, orange. I'm sorry, green, yellow, orange, and red. Red's the highest. It shoots to orange. It's the first inkling. We've been there for several hours. First time that has happened. We get a reading. And of course, he's all psyched. He's like, oh, he's pointing at it and telling me. And then I hear like this mumbling, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I thought it was the other people that were with us, maybe behind us. So I get on our little walkie-talkie we have, and I'm like, hey, where are you guys at? And they tell me where they're at, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not them. They're on the other side of the park from where we are, the cemetery. And we just hear this mumbling. We're trying to make it out, and it's like, it's audible, but we can't piece together what they're saying. And then we start hearing laughter coming from the wood line. And when I heard that, I looked at him and I was like, dude, do you hear what I'm hearing right now? And he's like, yeah. He goes, but what does it sound like to you? And I'm like, there's somebody laughing in the woods. And it immediate chills. It's freaking me out. And I tell him, I'm like, I'm ready to get out of here. And he's like, well, let's just, you know, he's trying to calm me down at this point. He's like, let's see what happens. And it goes on for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then we hear like talking, like a male. Again, I don't understand what he's saying, but it's like a deeper male voice just talking in the woods. And I'm like, this is the wildest thing. And then the EMF detector at the time is spiking to red. It's going up and down and up and down and up and down. And there's no telephone poles around us. You know, we have our cell phones in our pockets, but the thing hasn't moved all night. Why is it randomly doing it now when we're hearing chatter, we're hearing talking, we're hearing laughing, all coming from the wood line? So we then get an alert on the walkie-talkie. And it starts binging real loud. And I look at him, and it's the first F-bomb I drop of the night. But I'm like, what the F is that? I've never heard it make that noise. And I get on, and I'm trying to call, and I'm trying to cancel. And then the guy that's with us comes over. He's like, I can't understand you. Can you go again? And I'm like, I go back, and I go, I didn't say anything. I was like, what are you talking about? So I'm pissed at this point. I'm yelling while this laughing's still going on. The guy on the other side of the cemetery who's with us goes, we just saw an apparition. We saw a shadow walk by one of the graves. And of course, we're like, I'm not believing him. I'm like, get the F out of here. You did not see that. What did you really see? He's like, no, I swear we saw a shadow. So I look to Jesse and I stand up and I go, it's time to get the F out of here, you know, and I'm freaked out at this point. So we cut the cameras and we're walking around, and we go walk over to the woods, and we can't see anything. You know, we got a couple flashlights with us, but we're not seeing anybody down there. And it's like, it's not a place I go to often, but it's that whole park system. I mean, I grew up in this area. I know that thing like the back of my hand. I know where the walking trails are at certain points. Jesse knows the same thing. So we're checking like points of access afterwards of like, could they have come in here? Look on the ground for footprints, look for tire tracks, look for anything. We could not find a single thing. So it's totally unexplained as to how that happened or what occurred that night. And that was very long story because I had two to share, but I think that one would sum it up pretty good.
Oh, that's perfect, man. Yeah. Wow. That's creepy stuff.
Any laughter coming from the woods in the dark is never a good, comforting feeling.
I'm telling you, man, what is it? What's so creepy about laughter? I mean, laughing is supposed to be fun. Ha, everybody likes it. But if you're alone somewhere and you hear laughter, it's just creepy as hell. I mean, I saw
it's dark. I mean,
I saw the meme just the other day. I've talked about it a couple times. Something like, there's nothing more beautiful than a child's or a baby's laughter, unless it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you don't have a baby and you live alone.
Exactly.
Pretty damn creepy.
Yeah. I mean, God, don't. don't do that. All right,
No,
we've
it's-
got a couple of questions here. We've got about 10 minutes left, so let's see if we can't get through some of these questions real quick. Kevin Bodie is asking what town is close. I'm assuming that meant
To where he
the
is
first
from.
word.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
He's
I'm sorry,
wondering what. He's wondering
No,
what
the
town
story
is.
was
Oh, which town is close to me, like where I live, or
no,
with
probably he's probably meaning where the town where you had your encounter, your Bigfoot encounter.
the Bigfoot encounter? Yeah. So, I could say Atlanta, which sounds funny. No, not Georgia. There is an Atlanta, Michigan, and if it helps, how about Onaway? Onaway's a little farther north, but either Atlanta or Onaway, Kevin.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. All right, Troy is asking, pull it up here. When and if you have another encounter, will you record it or will you pull a Wayne? I did not record mine.
As I said, Troy, I'm not kidding. It's always within arm's reach. So the good thing about this, not to go too off, is it can be on, like the camera can be on, and I can just hit the button from right here. It's not like my other ones where you got to open it up and turn it on. I can leave this thing on and carry it just like this. So it could be, I mean, literally the push of a button. Or honestly, when I'm walking around the woods, most of the time I either have a GoPro running or I put the extended battery on that and I just let it run. And then I delete, 2-3 hours of footage of absolutely nothing after I walk through it and watch it. But it's always recording.
Yeah. Next question is from Naomi, who I hope I haven't pissed Naomi off too bad tonight because I do love her very much. But she has obviously taken offense to this Dogman stuff. She
Now,
asked,
actually, let me interject really quick because she didn't. Because below that comment that she left, she said, "I'm not at all trying to be argumentative." She said, "I'm just curious."
okay.
No, that's fine. So again, that's not. I don't try to justify any response. That's why I always preference it with this is just my opinion. The stories that I've heard are extremely interesting, and some of them are extremely compelling. I had one individual that came up and they said, "I saw a Bigfoot," and I was like, "Oh, where'd you see it?" And we get further into the question. I was like, "Can you explain what the face looked like?" Because he was like, it had a very unique face. He actually said that it was smushed in, and the words he described was, "Have you seen a Shih Tzu?" It looked like that. It looked like the Shih Tzu pug face, and I was like, "I never heard that one before, but okay." And I actually asked him, from a guy that does not believe in Dogman, I asked him, "Did it have pointed ears?" And he goes, "No, I didn't see any pointed ears. I couldn't notice any ears." But for a second there, I was like, "Smooshy face," kind of, and he used a dog breed to describe it. I'm like, could he have seen something that I don't really believe in? Maybe. So I don't try to justify it in any way. That's just my opinion that I stick with.
Yeah. All right. And next one from Alex. I think Alex is asking if you were a cop, and you used to be a cop, right?
Yeah, I used to work in law enforcement. Right now, I'm just municipal government. And it's funny because I was wondering if any questions would come up about it. But just a brief tip for anybody out there. I know Wayne and Brian have discussed it a lot of times. I know Brian has just an immense amount of experience with it. One of my roles in my job is a FOIA coordinator. For those who don't know FOIA, it's Freedom of Information Act. It's how you get, the public gets information on government, things going on, police, down to like building permits. You can get whatever you want. It's covered under that. One of the things that I do now in my current role is I coordinate those. So I go through and I redact and I have to pull different things and I look for different reports and, print them off for people that request them. What's allowed to be requested. Those people, and I'll just touch it again, personal opinion. Those people that like to claim and maybe at the higher level, there's something going on at a local level, small level, even county level. I can promise you that individuals that do not get what they want from a FOIA and then complain saying something's going on, something's a cover up, just be careful with the verbiage you use. I have been able to get different reports In fact, in Woodline, for those who have not seen it, it's on YouTube. The opening clip is a 911 call that was taken from Shelby Township, Michigan, which is Metro Detroit. It's very populated. It's not in a wooded area whatsoever. And it's a woman who didn't know what she was looking at on her Ring doorbell. She said, I don't know if this is a human or if this is a creature or if this is something else. And local news took that as woman has possible Bigfoot encounter in Shelby Township. So when I saw that, I was like, I got to get my hands on that report. Watch the verbiage you use. If you go out and you say, I want reports relating to Bigfoot, when they say we don't have anything, that's because we don't have anything. No cop that I believe, at least in my area, is putting in his reports possible Bigfoot sighting. They're going to put unknown subject, unusual encounter, strange circumstance, possible unknown identity, something like that. I don't know any professional cop or anything else, anybody else that's putting Bigfoot, Sasquatch in an official government report. I know it's kind of off a tangent, but again, just touching from personal experience that I still use today. So,
yeah. I mean, that's good advice. It really is. All right, Jack, tell everybody about 1621 Studios, any projects that you have coming up soon, your past movies, where they can find them, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So we are on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Our handle is at 1621, the word studios. Easiest way to find us. YouTube, just how it says right there under my name, 1621 space studios. If you haven't yet, feel free to check out Woodline. I am not happy with it. So if you watch it and you have a lot of negative feedback, trust me, I have more that I put on myself than you can give me. It's not what it was meant to be made into, but I was eager to push it and I was eager to get it out. So I was like, yeah, we got enough. Let's just see what happens. I was, happy with the view response that I got. I got a couple thousand, which for me was kind of limelight because I'm like, oh, our other videos have gotten like 200 views. I thought I was doing good with 200. Here's this, past the 10K point, but yeah, we've got a couple things out. That's what we post everything on right now. Jesse and I do have some ideas flowing as what the future will hold. Like I said, I'm not. I can confidently say I'm not getting away totally from. Thank you, Naomi. There it is, right there. Not totally getting away from paranormal or from cryptozoology subjects, but we are going to incorporate some of the other interests we have as far as conservation. Things of that nature. Like I said, we're lucky enough to be hopefully working with NOAA. I'm definitely making a film that I will present to them that is 100% conservation based. So it is all based, I don't want to give too much away, but the possible population of a big mammal that lives in Michigan that is not being looked at or treated the right way. It's kind of what that film's going to be about. So it's a little bit of a nature doc meets a vlog style shoot. And then to touch on the paranormal, we are hopefully locking in a date very soon for the trip up north to the lighthouse, which is supposedly haunted. I've been there a couple times during the day, haven't been there at night, so that's going to be fun if we can get approval for that. And I won't dive into it, but Wayne and I have to have a discussion soon because I got an idea that I haven't pitched to you yet, and it could involve Tiffany, so this could be interesting once I decide to send you what I'm thinking here. So I'll leave you with a little cliffhanger there.
I am intrigued.
I can't wait to get it, buddy. I mean, I feel like this is going to happen. This movie, this project that you and I and Brian have been talking about, it's going to happen. It's just aligning everyone's schedule because I know you just started a new job and hard for you to get time away, and it's just instead of rushing it, we decided to put it off, and I think that's going to be the best thing. So possibly next year, we'll be working on it together, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Jake, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything, and I look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both for bringing me on, and I look forward to listening. Everybody out there, keep listening. Paranormal Odyssey. I've been going back and listening to some. I appreciate that, Naomi. Sorry, I've been going back and listening to some of the past episodes that I have missed. Because I'll be honest with you, although I'm intrigued by the paranormal, that Bigfoot podcast has me hooked, just straight off the uncensored cut of everything. And Sasquatch Odyssey has always had me hooked. But this is another great show from everything that you guys do. So thank you for having me on.
All
I
right,
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, buddy. And we will talk soon. Again, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All
Cool
right.
dude, man.
Good stuff. Yeah, I like the hell out of Jake. He's a good dude, and I cannot wait to work with him till Brian and I get to work with him on that movie coming up next year, and possibly you being involved.
I know. I'm
to
highly
hear from
intrigued.
Jake.
Maybe we'll go to a spooky lighthouse. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But as long as they have an elevator, because there's a lot of freaking steps in lighthouses. I'd end up being the ghost that y'all would be talking to. I'd be like, I'm here. Hold on. Nope.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Y'all know me. I've got a 3-year-old screaming daddy in the background. So that is my cue to get out of here. So say your goodbyes, ma'am.
Goodbye. And we will see you Saturday at 10 p.m. when we have Jeremy Manzer on from Australia.
That one should be wild.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt the Australian accent because I would butcher it.
If y'all listen to that Bigfoot podcast, you have heard Jeremy call in and that accent and some of the rants that he gets on. There are going to be plenty of F-bombs dropped on that episode. And hint, hint, if you have listened to the last episode of that Bigfoot podcast, Mr. Brian might be joining us for that episode coming up this Saturday. So that Saturday is going to be fun. It's going to be wild. Cannot guarantee there won't be some people getting offended because Jeremy, I believe, does not have many filters. So it's going to be fun.
Yes.
All right, guys, until we talk to y'all again, till we see y'all again, y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Again, thank you, Robin Brissett, for becoming a member. Bye.
See ya.